I'm Nova Han. I'm a creative director for music festivals, stage shows, concerts, and immersive experiences around the world. My work has been seen by hundreds of thousands at festivals like Coachella, Electric Forest, Burning Man, and Firefly. I've worked with artists like Deadmau5, Bass Nectar, and the String Cheese Incident. My job has me searching the globe to discover the industry's best artists in installations, performance, movement, set design, costumes, and emerging technologies to create some of the world's greatest live entertainment experiences. Audiences see the awe-inspiring spectacle of the final product, but they have no idea what it takes to get there. We the Creators explores the lives of the artists behind the magic, what drives them to do what they do, the sacrifices they've made, and the pain they've overcome to make art at any cost. Behind every great artist is an even greater story. This is We the Creators. Hi, and welcome to another We the Creators, where our mission is to showcase the incredible artists and magic makers behind the live events industry. So today we're with some of my bestest buddies in the entire galaxy, Greenz and Kyrian of Creatington. Creatington is one of the premier creative studios in the Arts District of Los Angeles. Their in-house team is comprised of world-class set designers, music video directors, photographers, rappers, beatboxers, dancers, puppeteers, audio engineers, and more. It's a mouthful. It's a lot. They wear so many hats. They create worlds that are a menagerie of intense color, design spectacles, sonic journeys, and immersive experiences of complete pandemonium. The space, which is designed to look like a town square in a Technicolor cartooniverse, has housed events for the likes of Diplo and has been a soundstage for superstars Diane Ward, Pharrell Williams, and Doja Cat. This incredibly talented team also produces their own content with the Fungineers, which is a beatboxing, hip-hop, puppeteering company, as well as holds events for the top street dancers. What the team of Creatington does is truly spectacular, and it goes way beyond any words that I could even try to fathom to explain. So let's just give you a taste of the awe-inspiring world that is Creatington.
Yo, DJ. I like where you flip it on me, flip it on me. I like when you flip it on me, flip it on me. I like when you flip it on me, flip it on me. I like when you flip it on me, flip it on me. I like when you flip it on me, flip it on me.
Flip it on me.
When you flip it over, flip it on me.
Here we go, drop a bass. I like it when you flip it on me. It's like a frisbee, flying so free. It's like a trampoline upside downtown. You can't flip upside round town, no wow wow. Oh, you flip it, so delicious. Whoa, I need it, it's so nutritious. Ooh, I got on a squeak floppy, flippy floppy when you use the sloppy neck, the beppin' and clip a deppin' it. Okay.
Ooh. Hi.
Hi, best buddies.
Hey there.
Yeah, great to see you. Thanks for joining us today. I see you've got some fancy drinks with you.
Cheers. Yeah, to the future. Woo.
Nice. And your landlord's back there sucking on a popsicle and looking crunk as always.
Yep. Yeah, Nigel Switch and Snitch. This is a portrait of our landlord made.
Awesome. Pay homage. Pay homage to that rich white man. Hey, buddies. So great to have you guys. Yeah, I guess a little history. So Greenz, you and I met back in 2010 when you were auditioning for a company I was in, and it was so funny because I remember the moment that I laid my eyes on you, I just knew that we were going to be best buddies for life. And we went on to create 2 performance companies together. We did Wilderbee and Bubble Gutter, and have just traveled the world spreading clown magic and trickster antics ever since. And I remember when we first saw you, Kyrian, Greenz and I were at Shambhala. Yeah, we were at Shambhala in 2012, and you were performing with the Fungineers, and we were mind blown. We were so mind blown because we had never seen anything like it. It was just so cartoony and so fresh and so hip hop and so fun and wacky, and we just like knew you were one of us, and we kind of made it a mission to hunt you down and make you be our friend. And here we are, and now you guys live together and have created this own company called Creatington, which is amazing. And what are you guys in, like your 6th year now?
Yeah, it's like 5.5.
Cool. Yeah.
Just
so it's
from the building, so we're gonna have it for 5 more years at least, which is great.
Oh my God. Yep. That's awesome. Well, yeah, it's really cool to see Creatington because in my opinion, it's one of the most creative spaces in all of LA. And I've been here my entire life. I've been in the party LA, art scene for, I think it's like, no, how old am I? Over 20 years, which is crazy. And it's one of the best places that I've ever seen. And, what I want to start with is I want to talk about some of these crazy events that you do. I feel like, every single time it is like the most spectacular, insane, over the top thing that anyone has ever seen. I mean, it's like you guys have created like, blanket fort caverns. It's not just a blanket fort. It's like a whole world of blanket forts to indoor slip and slide parties, roller discos, naked women in animal masks, and a chocolate fondue fountain, and just like so much insane stuff. I literally feel like in one single party that I've been to at Creatington, I have seen more than most people will see in their lifetimes, or maybe would never want to see. I don't know. It always goes there. So of all the crazy things that have happened in that space, I'm actually curious to know, like, what is one of your just highlight moments?
Well, for me, one of my favorite moments is when we did a snow wrestling match at our Young Santa's roller disco. And this party is kind of really special because we threw the very first event here, and we made it a roller disco because there was no furniture and nothing inside it. So we were like, what can we do to make it cool and fun? And that's when we came up with this roller skating idea. And I think it was the 3rd year. We've done 7 of them now. And I think it was the 3rd year that I came up with this concept of snow wrestling, and we poured this fake snow down into this bathtub and had a lot of people, just strangers and friends, strip down to their underwear and just wrestle in this bathtub. And it just got really wild, where like so many people that had, would never expect something like that to happen at a party, people just getting in their underwear willy-nilly, like, and kind of really going at it, like full on, like arm locks and like tap outs and stuff. And I just love that kind of like visceral activity where everybody around gets really excited. And that was one of those moments for me.
Yes, I remember that. And that was so fun and insane. And that snow was amazingly realistic.
Totally. Yeah. It was like that squishy, like stayed wet. It was like stay wet. No,
yeah. What about you, Kyrian?
I mean, there's so many. I'd say just because it's fresh, the last event we did was a Carnival Party that we kind of thought of a couple, like maybe even a week or 2 before, and the way it just came together was pretty smooth, and we got some new steel deck staging and put it on wheels, and we basically had the stage on wheels, and it was moving around all night like a float, and then we made...
Oh my God. Yeah, I think we have a video of that. Andrew, can you play the Carnival video?
Carnival performers, and it's just the feeling of like everything moving around, and the kind of disassociation of all the people being like, wait, where the stage's moving? Okay, we're going over here, or now it's over here. And I love that moment of like, yeah, like kind of tamed, harnessed chaos. Yeah. I think brings people out of their normal expectations, and it makes them have more fun, which I think makes us all have more fun.
What was so good about that one too is that we had so many performers there that night, which like sometimes we have some performers in here, but we had like a whole samba group, a bunch of stilt walkers, when it actually happened and we tried to do this parade inside of this 5,000 square foot space with maybe 300 people here, it just turned into total calamity, and it really reminded me of what it's like to be in Mardi Gras, which is one of my favorite feelings. And that was kind of something that I was hoping to capture, is that feeling for people that have never been to this party. And it's pretty much the wildest party on earth, whether it's Carnival in a different country or in Louisiana. And I think we pretty much achieved it, as much as it could be achieved in that. And I think that was spectacular. That was also my favorites. Yeah, that was right from the beginning, right to the end of what's been happening here.
Yeah, you guys are so good. You guys are so good at creating not only just this incredibly complete world, and everything is so well curated, from the dancers, the costumes, the vibe, the energy, the music. Everything is so well done, and I feel like it really allows for people to let go. It's almost like an invitation when we all don't know what the fuck is going on. We're just oh, okay, let's ride this ride. And it's such a fun invitation. I gotta say, one of my favorite things, and we mentioned it earlier before, but it was just that nasty, filthy chocolate fondue moment. It was, I think that there's a video of that too. Could we play that video?
That was a good one.
Yeah, so this was actually, we've done a joint birthday party every year, because me and Greenz' birthdays are a couple days at the end of September, October, and this year we wanted something with the kind of autumn feast kind of theme. So we teamed up with an epic chef and did all these interactive food moments, and had this big, crazy, giant diner table as the main altar stage. And then late night we had these animals come out and get freaky with interactive fondue in a bathtub, which was delicious and very weird.
Yeah, this was so out of control. And what's so, some of those events actually tend to be my favorite ones out of all the events that we do, because it's not only Kyrian and my birthday, which we celebrate together in brotherhood, but it's also kind of the birthday of Creatington, because we originally got the keys in October to the warehouse. So it's kind of like this reoccurring thing that we get to partner up on and kind of celebrate each other in the space. And this actual moment with the chocolate, it's so funny. We had planned it, but I never thought it was going to go off like that. My friends who were the performers in that, one of them actually couldn't come. And so another friend was like, oh, well, I'll do it. And then that friend who originally was not even supposed to be part of it was like, we should get fully naked. We shouldn't just get in our underwear, because it was originally just going to be them in their underwear. And she was like, no, we should go the full Monty. And this moment happened probably at right around 3 a.m. when everybody was over, and maybe half the people left. And then it was just a really special treat for them to come out and do and just have so much fun with it. The animal mass, and we had really, really nice berries, and it was an organic chocolate that we put on them. And we, in the video, you just see me wiping a berry and eating it, but we were offering berries to everybody to actually fondue off their bodies. And it was it was so amazing because, as crazy as that is, it was very respectful. Everybody was just jaw on the floor, amazed at these pagan goddesses. And that was truly when it, people literally had their jaws on the floor and couldn't believe that somebody would do this,
do that,
and not be, afraid, and be so open. And the two performers that were actually doing it are some really, just open people that aren't afraid to share themselves with the world. And it was so nice to see them be really respected. There was not any play that happened.
Yeah. Well, and that's goes to show the power of the curation of the vibe, right? It's like people are smarter than you give them credit for. And so when you assume that when you treat them as though that they're going to understand the rules, they're going to abide. They're going to respect it to a degree. But I love that that's what you guys bring in, because you guys really, because you're so free with yourselves, I feel like you give people a permission to also be free with themselves, and they don't take it for granted. And it's really special. Yeah, that's what it's about. So actually I want to, so I feel like, you guys, like your events are the culmination of your life's work and your collective talents. I mean, you guys have so many hats that you wear. You know, Kyrian, for one, being like a beatboxer, DJ, fabricator, performer, janitor, ice cream maker, gnome. I mean, the list goes on. And, you know, one of your projects is the Fungineers, which I want to kind of get into.
Yeah.
The Fungineers, man, the first time, as I said, when I saw it with Greenz, we were just so blown away because it felt so different and so fresh. And I really want to just kind of understand, like, what sparked that journey? How did that whole journey start?
Totally. Yeah, I mean, life is all connected. So I'd say it really started when I hit puberty and got really into music, and then into beatboxing. And I lived in Seattle at the time, and worked at a record store, and started going to raves, and like started performing at open mics, and was always very eccentric and trying to like push the boundaries of whatever was around me. And I was always very like, no, I think there could be more. You know, we could do something else. Like, what? As I started to express myself more, you know, even and pick up some traction as a beatboxer, I was still like, I don't want to be like just a beatboxer or just a anything. Like, I want to find, like, kind of create my own genre and combine things that haven't been combined before. And my friend had a little like mouse hand puppet, and I was at her house one night and just picked it up and was like, boop, 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 boop. And I was like, oh, puppets that beatbox, like that's way more interesting than the human that beatboxes. And then I didn't know anything about puppetry, and that just set me on a course of like finding puppets at thrift stores and going to festivals and walking up to people and just freaking them out with little hand puppets, and you know, meeting awesome other musicians and friends and convincing them to play with puppets. And you know, it was kind of born out of that free spirit of like that silly sunrise at a festival when it's like everyone's taking themselves too seriously, and you want like an option to be like, oh, hey, like this silly thing, sunrise. You know, and like that essence, you know, kind of excited me, and how to combine this like playful, childlike thing with music and content that is more adult, you know, and try to like bring out the inner child of people so that they can kind of get back in touch with that place of inspiration and creativity and excitement and silliness. So that was like, we started Fungineers 17 years ago. So I've been doing it for a minute. Gone through so many incarnations of, you know, starting out all improv hand puppets through a little screen, into starting to make tracks, into doing a TV pilot for a kids show, and then realizing we didn't want to do shit for kids because we were way too weird. And then moving to LA and building an ice cream truck so we could have a mobile stage. And right now we're working on a bunch of new content, new songs and videos, and recording some of our old songs, and working on a new TV idea for a pitch. So it's feeling really exciting, and one of those life journeys that just keeps building and transforming off of each other.
Yeah, totally. And I see that you guys have been doing your live streams for like 2 hours of just improvising and playing every Thursday night, and that seems like it's been really successful. And I guess, you know, in this new world, did you guys have to make like a massive shift with your plans? Like, did you guys have like things that you guys were rolling out and then had to figure out a way to be because of COVID?
Yes and no. We actually started doing live streams a month before COVID really hit here, because we were just like, oh, we want to do something that makes us practice improv stuff more, and is more of like, you know, less of it's a show and more of like, cool, we're all hanging out with the characters, and, you know, trying to basically have practice that, you know, puts us in the moment. It's for improv, it's nice to be able to practice in front of a live audience, so because it kind of puts you more in the moment. So we actually started doing that at the beginning of February, and then when kind of everything got shut down, we were like, whoa, I guess we'll really just keep doing this thing we've been doing. And I think we've been able to focus on it more, and not having to go to festivals and not having like, you know, all this traveling going on, to just be like, well, we're here, there's nothing else to do. I guess we'll like really be, you know, dedicated to this weekly thing. And each week we try new technical things and new ideas. And so it's like, it's nice to have like a little focal grounded point. But we actually we did a season of live streams in 2010 at our old spot, the Dreamberry in British Columbia. And that was a bit more like a show. We'd work all week on a new show and then live stream it with live green screen and all this different stuff. And the technology was so hard back then to like work with. Like, we'd do all this work and then the internet would go down, or the streaming site just sucked. And like, so it's been interesting to come back to that whole world and be like, oh wow, everything's way more accessible and usable. And, you know, it's kind of like we're doing it again for the first time.
Totally. Yeah, totally. And even still yet though, we're still in a beta phase, right? Like, we have been broadcasting concerts from my rooftop on Sundays, and like last Sunday we just ran into so many technical issues, and you know, and it's hard as an artist. Like, you take it hard and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened. And you're just like, actually, that's the world we live in. We're in such a like primitive time for this style of art that you kind of expect that every single show is going to have a breakdown. You're just like, oh yeah, of course that's going to happen, you know? Yeah, so it's nice that it's kind of forgiving in this moment.
Totally. And I think so. I've been reflecting on the live streaming for a minute, just as it's been the main focal point since COVID happened, of just like, and feeling how we're actually pretty well prepared with it, because the nature of the stuff we've done with Fungineers is like, okay, we have this really technical thing that we're trying to figure out, and like, how does it look, and how is it lit, and how are we going to film it, and how is the angle, and how, like, all these things that a lot of musicians don't really think about. And so, you know, and with Creatington, we have a space where we have lights and we have green screen paint and we have this, like, you know, it's like we have the tools from a life of like building up all these, like, okay, how do I be creative? And then I get caught up in the technical difficulties, which takes me out of the creativity. So like, how can I get better at those, and how can I like expand the capacity and like figure this problem out? So, and then the new problem happens and you're like, okay, well now I know that problem. And so it's like, I think live stream is one of those new mediums, but you can apply the same sort of like know-how that I think a lot of artists have as far as like trying to, you know, be creative with a technical medium.
Yeah, getting scrappy.
If I could just
totally.
With Kyrian, this guy over here wearing so many hats, it really blows my mind in these live streams what this man does. I don't know if for all of those people that have seen them or will one day watch them, Kyrian not only is a performer and he DJs and beatboxes in a puppet, but he's also basically the sound engineer for everybody else's mic, and he's also controlling the camera angles and what's going on the green screen. So he's trying to do all that like with one arm. It's insane. Like, I can barely see. Yeah, he can barely see. And it's just,
oh my God,
the most inspiring things. Like, you know, now Kyrian's been my friend for 7 years or something like that. But when I first started to get to know him and realized like what he was actually doing as Paragon and with the Fungineers, and being like kind of the mastermind behind the whole thing while trying to perform, it really just made me understand like any technical difficulty that happens is like minuscule compared to like what is trying to be juggled over there. You know what I mean? And it's almost like, it's just amazing. It's really mind blowing. And at this point, it's like gotten to an extreme level. Like, we're trying to people who can be here and help the team out. I mean, you know, luckily the actual running of the live stream is done by our friend Canada Hefe, who's a big part of Fungineers too. But everything else that's like live happening is done by this guy. So I want that out there.
Yeah, everyone, mad props to Kyrian. You guys should toast your fancy drinks over there to Kyrian. Friendship.
I think that comes from like a natural tendency I've found that I enjoy is like, as an artist, it's like, to me, it's all about the path and continually challenging myself, because it's like I'll get bored and uninspired if it's just the same thing. So it's like how to make it more challenging is like, okay, I got to add this. How do I now do the lights and the video while this thing? And how can I use my left foot to like reach over and do this thing? It's like that, to me, that keeps it interesting and exciting. It's like the same comfortability.
Yeah, totally. Hey, I also just want to say, if you guys are watching at home, you guys can participate in a live Q&A. Comments, just throw them up in the chat and we'll come back to them, and you can ask them directly how many buttons exactly is Kyrian pushing and with what appendage.
Lighting really quick.
Oh yeah, okay. Nice shorts there. Cool. So Greenz, buddy, you came from a dance background, and we've had such an amazing time creating different companies like Wilderby and Bubble Gutter together. And then you made your own company called Flamboozle, which is so fresh. I also love it. It's if you guys haven't seen them perform at some of the festivals out there, they do street dancing with fire on their shoes, and it's just really awesome. It's a really awesome blend of forms of dancing. So what I'm curious about, though, is we've been on so many countless adventures to like Ireland and Costa Rica, and I feel like we've been to Japan. I don't know. We've been to a lot of places. And out of all of those festivals that we've ever performed at, which one was maybe the most life-changing for you?
It's interesting. I mean, as a whole, like as far as a really life-changing festival, actually was Boom, which is I've only been to it one time, and it's not necessarily like a festival that I have had a lot of experience with, but that was kind of in the beginning of me like going on this deep journey. And like it was in 2010, the year that I went, and I had so many experiences there that weren't necessarily around performances, but were around connection with people, and just really seeing the community for like what they were and what they were doing with their lives, you know? And, you know, for me, sunset is one of the most magical experiences all the time, but especially in these spaces, because it brings like a special kind of energy out at these festivals, you know? So I had a particularly amazing one at Boom where, you know, I was just with friends. We weren't watching some crazy DJ or something. We were just hanging around, and there was like the moon was full, and it was lighting the water, the kind of the big bay lake that's right there. And the sun was coming up, and it was kind of like lighting the water from the other side. So I was looking at the reflection of the moonlight, like on the sun, like as the sun was coming up, you know? So it was like a moonlit sunrise. And it really just blew my mind, because I was with a lot of people who kind of I didn't, you know that well at the time, but have become just some of my best friends, you know? And I think in general, that was the festival that kind of opened my eyes to the possibilities of life in this way. Like this moment that people have, a lot of people have it at Burning Man or whatnot, but that was the one that did it for me. And that particular moment was like a really special moment to describe.
Yeah.
It was
we
really
got to that Kerry Thompson. We just had him on the show last week.
That's right.
Yeah, totally. And that's awesome that, like, I thought it was also, I think, the year that we took that makeshift sailboat, made a sailboat out of trash and just pirated around. I mean, that was pretty magical. But then that's what I love about you, is I feel like you are so good at navigating communities, but also building them, merging them. You know, one of the things that I really admire about what you've done at Creatington as well is like you have been able to pull some of the top names in the street dance community in the entire world. I mean, legendary people from Frantic, Slim Boogie, Flat Top, who is just like the originator, you know, Don Campbellock, just truly legends in the dance world. And it's so cool because I feel like when you normally watch these battles that happen, they're always in these like terrible looking gyms or at the local YMCA, and the lighting's all like bright halogen. It looks lame. You know, sorry guys, it looks lame. Yeah. And that's all right, because like they're not visual artists in that way. Their canvas is their body, and you know, and what they do with it. But what you've been able to offer the dance community is a hybrid with you know, a space for movement, and to pool all of these amazing talents together, but also in a really beautiful space where they can like be proud of kind of the media that they put out, the vibe that they put out. And so I guess, you know, my question for you is like, what are some of the greatest things that you've seen from merging the art community with the dance community?
Well, God, there's so much there, you know. One of the things I'll first just say is a lot of these events for dancers and a lot of what, you know, street dancers especially are used to is so underfunded in America, you know, and that's why they're at these gyms and at these YMCAs and at these places where they don't have any money to even barely get the staff to work for free, you know. It's sad, you know, like in other places in Europe and stuff, there's way more money put toward this cultural like hub that is so amazing, you know. It's like people that dedicate their life to this are a very interesting type of people, and in one way they're total nerds. Like they're like, you know, practicing 10 hours a day, like every day for years, just to feel like they can get seen. You know what I mean? Like it's a very interesting type of person who decides to dedicate their life to this, you know, and like I am one of those people and was much more focused in that as a younger person. And once I kind of, you know, got into other things and got into performing and other types of art and stuff, I noticed how different the people were in those environments. And I mean, in general, I mean, like people that are really dedicated in the kind of communities that we're used to, like the festival community or whatever, they're just like they have like almost like a weight taken off them a lot of times, you know. They have an openness that and like lightness about a lot of their outlook on life. And not everybody, but you know, that happens. And so anyway, what I've noticed is bringing dancers into that environment really does something to them, you know. It really like makes them, and again, I'm talking about a specific type of dancer, like this, you know, a street dancer that's really used to, like, in a way, like a lot of kind of negative vibes coming at them, you know, like a lot of judgment, a lot of like elitism, a lot of just closed circles. Like you got to prove yourself before you're accepted, you know? So bringing kind of those people into an environment with people who really don't emit that type of vibe, or that's just not like something that's as prevalent, you know? It does something for the dancers that I think allows them to let loose in a crazy way. And, you know, in what we've done here, which I feel just really lucky about, is I've, through connections, ended up bringing more and more people, and then a really, really famous dancer named Slim Boogie started teaching here, and really I owe it to him for what's happened and how Creatington has become a part of the dance community in LA. But since more and more people have been coming, and I've kind of been helping to create a really comfortable, really artistic environment for them to go wild in, I hear from a lot of my friends, a lot of dancers out there, that they feel so much like, almost like safer here. You know what I mean? Safer to be which like a lot of times that's a hard thing to do for some people, is to really just be themselves and like not worry about being judged. And I think that because we're so weird and we like a lot of these kids have never seen the kind of stuff that is just happens here all the time. And I've started to bring them into our events, as well as just try to help their events, you know, be a little bit more, I don't know, ease on the eyes and the body and the feeling of the vibe, I guess. You know? Yeah,
and totally. And that's so much of it, right? I mean, that's so much of the curation of the room, right? It's no one's going to feel comfortable dancing in a space where like all the lights are super bright. And you guys have become masters of really creating, you know, vibe-worthy spots where the energy is right, the lighting is right, the music is at the right, you know, levels. You guys are, you know, the types of people that you're bringing in there are warm and open and friendly, and that's felt. And it's and I love hearing that Greenz, that you guys have really kind of allowed for a lot of these people who come from a way different background, harsher environments, to be able to kind of reach a new level within themselves, which is a space of ultimate freedom, which to me, that is dance. Dance is relinquishing control, and it is saying, I am okay to be one with the universe right now, and I'm just going to channel. That is the ultimate, that's when you get the ultimate form of dance coming through, which is so beautiful. So that's really cool. I love hearing that. I'm gonna ask you guys one more question before I open it up for Q&A, but again, if you guys are watching and if you have any questions for these little weirdos here, throw them up there. Cool. So let me ask one more question before I open it up. But like, so doing all of this, like this is a massive labor of love. I have been there creating these things with you guys. I have been there on the sidelines watching. I have been a pure recipient of, you know, and watching what you do is such an intense amount of work. I mean, I feel like I'm lazy compared to you guys, because you guys are building a brand new set every time you have an event. You're consistently changing the way that your space looks. You guys are always doing things to improve it. You're needing to do things like promotions. You're needing to figure out a door guy, bar, whatever the things are to make these events happen, like all of the special antics. And then on top of that, you guys throw a show, and you do a show with all of the, you know, the different people in your company. It's insane. So like, I'm just kind of curious to know, like, what is it in you that drives you to keep moving forward? Like, how do you not totally just get burnt down?
Oh, that's a question, Papa. We'll answer that one in a second. I mean, I think it's a constant adjustment battle, but I think the main thing for me definitely is choosing stuff that inspires me and us. You like having it be something that is gonna give us motivation and excitement, you know, not just being like, oh, let's do another event that we're not excited about. It's like, okay, what should we do this time? Okay, like, how make it more exciting, or how can we try something new? How can we push ourselves and the people? What can we, you know, change around to keep it exciting? And I think that even with how much space changes and how much going on, it's like you get in a rhythm after a while of like, that's just the normal, is like, okay, everything's changing all the time. Oh, we have this crazy set from a video. What if we flipped it upside down and made it into a slide? And then, okay, now I had this other idea. Now we'll change it to this before we give it to this other person. And it's kind of like following that inspiration and like letting go a little bit too, as far as like the expectation about it, of just being like, okay, well, I'm going to kind of just try and go with the flow, as well as guide the flow in a way that keeps us inspired and ride the raft, you know?
Yeah. What about you, Greenz?
Well, for me, like, I'll say that sometimes I can be definitely a very irritable person, and there's been times when I've just like been so, you know, over it, so not wanting to do events here, because it is, you know, because me and Kyrian do everything. We produce the entire event each time that it's one of our events. It's a lot of work, so much work. I mean, we're like usually working all day up until the event starts, and then working through the event, and then finally getting some time to like hang out in the end. And anyway, what inspires me and like really makes me excited, like there's always a point that I get upset, and then I like get really inspired, like, oh, this is gonna be the shit. This we got this all set up, it's about to go off. And for me, it's really the people. Like, I am so thankful for the people that come here and create the vibe, because like we put it out there, but we have an amazing following of people that follow us and give us so much love for coming here, and really they're the ones in the end that make it happen, you know what I mean? And so I think I know that like it's going to get to that point. Like every time we plan something and like we don't know how it's going to work out, you know, like we don't know if the performers are even going to show up, but hopefully someone will put chocolate on their naked body. And then when it happens and I get to look at the environment and the people and see what it does to them, that is what makes me like, okay, this is obviously worth it, all the work. I don't know what else I would be doing that could even come close to the kind of fulfillment I get at these events. You know what I mean? Like they're so good, and like, you know, every time I do forget that in the beginning, but then it comes in and I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. We're doing magic over here and it's going to be magical.
Yeah.
It always is. Like there's never been a moment where I really felt like that was bad or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, and that just shows that we are putting in love and getting love back, and that's kind of like what's ultimately what's happening here, you know, that
Totally.
makes it worth it, what makes us want to keep going.
Yeah, and I think that is something that is crucial for us, and why we started the space was to to try and create a community. You know, like if you build it, they will come. And you know, I moved to LA and was like, I want to move to LA and create this bubble of this magical vibe because I haven't really seen that in LA. And you know, it's like also a selfish place. It's like the only parties I really want to go to are parties like this, and no one's doing them. So it's like, okay, well, I guess we got to do them for everybody. I think there's that sort of attitude too, where it's like, you know, from dedicating our life to performances and festivals, it's like I've gotten really bored with just the normal status quo of an event or a bar or a club. And so that's why I'm kind of like, okay, well, I can't bitch about it unless I'm doing something about it. So that's part of the motivation too, is like create what you want to see in the world.
Absolutely. I love that. That makes me so happy. Cool. Well, let's open it up to some Q&As. I don't know who asked this because I can't see, but somebody said, who cut your hair, Kyrian?
Well, it was kind of a combo. I had more hair 2 weeks ago, and then it was like just all floppy and that classic quarantine haircut where it's all hasn't dyed forever. And I was about to shave it all off, and then I was like, we were shaving it, and then I was like, let's just keep a little front poof going on.
Yeah, it's very straight on the side. It's like high water Skrillex or something.
Hey. I shaved it now in the bathrooms. I'm, you know, shaving it up. So it's pretty much a self-cut. Casey helped me.
Awesome. Let's see. I unfortunately can't see who's asking these questions, but somebody else asked, do you have any advice for artists aspiring to create community and event spaces?
I'd say, like, probably listen to the advice of what we were saying about, like, what keeps us motivated and inspired, and figure out what that is for you. You know, make sure it's something that it's going to be a lot of work. So have it align with what you really want to be doing and the vision that you have, not just, you know, doing it like, oh, I want to have another club, just have a club. Like, figure out what would excite you to be working every day, you know, like what sort of niche do you want to create, and go into that niche as opposed to trying to, you know, go to everybody and be like, oh, I'm the new thing for everybody. Just be like, oh, what do I want to create? And the community will come to that if you're actually really inspired about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
The whole thing I would say is just like, be willing to turn over some responsibility to people, you know? Like, a lot of times just trying to create something, you have such an idea of like what it's going to be like and how it's going to be, and you're never going to actually create community unless you open it up for other people to put in input and be willing to work with it with people. I mean, if you're just trying to make something cool for yourself, it's never going to be something that's actually that cool, most likely.
Yeah. Yeah, well, right, exactly. It's that's very wise of you to say, and I'm happy to know that you've been learning that lesson along the way. That's lovely. Cool. Well,
I know that.
Okay, so if you had like one piece of like one last message of hope in these kinds of strange times, what would that be?
Wow. I'd say some of my normal hopeful goals for myself is to try and savor the process as an artist and not be too caught up in the goals and the like, oh, I'll be happy when I can have a bunch of money to do what I want, or when people love me, or when, like, and try to be like, oh, how can I be happy now through the creative process? And I think now is like an even more challenging time where it's the world is so uncertain for performers and live event stuff, that I think it could be an opportunity to get back to a place of like, oh, okay, well, what can I do right now to still feel excited and challenged and creative? And, you know, I think if you get back, for me, if I'm being creative, then everything else makes a lot more sense. So it's like find ways to work with what you have to stay creative, I'd say is my advice.
Yeah, strong. And last thing, I guess, because it just popped up, Joey Chang wants to see if he can see your weirdest faces.
Oh yeah, weirdest faces.
Oh, I'll join ya. Nice. Right on. Well, awesome, y'all. Thank you so much for joining us today. I so appreciate you guys taking the time. Dude, you guys, if you guys don't already know, now you know. Creatington is such an incredible live event space for studio rentals, events when they can happen again. You know, they're full of just amazing artists that are creative directors for your music video, your photo shoot, dance performances, all that stuff. Follow them on Instagram and on Facebook, Creatington, as well as you can follow Kyrian Boberian, Anthony Greenz on Instagram, the Fungineers. I'm just throwing you all the names. Bubble Gutter, Flamboozle, all of them.
Would be awesome to mention if we could is right before this, we were about to start a whole system of classes, which will be coming in the future. So if you stay tuned to our website or our social media, eventually when this kind of blows over, we're going to immediately have classes in all types of different disciplines, which is going to be another aspect that we're going to do here. So that's one thing that we were really excited to do that kind of got postponed, but that will be back.
Yeah, we're trying to make it more of a community space, just, you know, outside of parties and events, you know, have stuff happening here multiple days a week where people can come and be creative and, you know, have fun. So that's the future.
Yeah, dope. Awesome. And they're always surrounded by some of the world's coolest people. So let's all mingle, y'all. Nice. Well, thank you so much. And guys, please, if you can, share the video, follow us on Facebook and on YouTube. WeHOWL. I know people hate when we ask these things, but it really does do a lot for us, and it means a lot to us starving artists these days. So don't be stingy with those likes. You got limitless likes. Just do it. Right on. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And that's our show. Join us next week. We've got Soren on Wednesday at 6 p.m. PST. Peace, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.